In this tutorial, we're going to look at how to add an entry to a glossary. This is the second of two tutorials. The first tutorial went over how to set up the glossary, how to do the settings, and there were a variety of settings. So I would encourage you, if you're viewing this and you haven't viewed Glossary Part I, which is the name of the tutorial, the video tutorial, that you do, because otherwise some of the features you've seen here may not make sense. With that said, if you have viewed that, keep in mind that when we look at this, this is just one example of how a glossary can look. Because if you go back to the option of determining the various format display that you have in the settings, with the simple, the dictionary style, the continuous without author, full with author, etc., etc., that will matter on how it'll look. So if it looks a little bit different necessarily than what you may have, that's okay. But in general, we're going to show how to add an entry into a glossary. So you see here, this is where the glossary is. Okay, there's the title that I've given it. There's the little icon. So we're going to click on the glossary's name. Alright, it's important that here is the description. Okay, so if you're going to have explicit detailed instruction for students, keep in mind when you're creating the setting for the glossary and ask for a description, that's where you'd provide that information, because here's where it'll appear. This search box is nice because if you get a very robust or if the glossary is built out fairly well, this search box up here, by typing in a single word, will search the glossary. So it's a nice feature, and keep in mind that's something that you add through the settings. Right now we're currently on browse by alphabet, so you can see here, and it tells you there's no entries because we haven't added anything yet, but this is where you get the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So if I had the word ball and I clicked on B, that would take me to the page with all the words that begin with the letter B. You can also browse by category, browse by date, which is kind of nice, so that you can see by date being, you could go by last updated, so what entry was last updated or last inserted, or you could go by creation date, which I think from an instructor standpoint, if you're tracking and viewing, that could be a nice way to determine when things are turned in, on time, late, so on and so on. You could always browse by author, okay, and currently right now we're going by the author's first name. So for instance, if I clicked on C, there's no entries found. There aren't any students enrolled in this course currently. But if there was a student enrolled in this course, I was searching by first name, the student's name was Christine, then I would be able to see Christine's name as the author and what she has posted. So again, it's another way if you're tracking students, particularly if you're grading them and whatnot, this would be an easy way to be able to find who's posted what. We'll come back to the browse by category in a little bit. Okay, but let's go to this tab right here, which is add a new entry. Go ahead and click on that. Now here, concept would be the word. Okay, so let's add the word. Now in this box you see again the red asterisk, so these are required fields, you have to fill them in. So there's the actual word, here's the definition. Okay, and if I scroll down, some more options. Again, categories, we have not created categories yet, so there's not a category to put this in, so you don't have to worry about that. Keywords, this would go up to that, the search box we just saw. If you put in, for instance, say I did a keyword of Kansas, okay, and then I did a keyword of old, and then I did a keyword of baker. These are all keywords that get associated with my term and definition. So if someone in that previous search box typed in the word Kansas, my definition could pull up. Your attachment, okay, whether it be a document or an Excel spreadsheet, an image, you would be able to browse. Okay, your window pops up. choose your file, click open, which now you see it attaches through here, so that's going to save it to it. This entry should be automatically linked. Again, this is if you've allowed this in the settings, so if you're curious about that and how to do that, you want to watch the first tutorial. So by me clicking this, it opens up these other two boxes, okay? But by me automatically linked is that when the word baker appears in the course, in text in the course, it'll link back to the glossary to give its definition. Now once you've checked automatically linked, if you decide to do that, you'll see these two other boxes free up. The entry is case sensitive. What you're doing there is that, for instance, the word here is baker, and I gave it a capital B, okay? Well, that means if I were to check this, that means if you write a sentence, the baker popped the pizza in the oven, and you used a lowercase b, it would not create an automatic link, okay? Because it's case, the link would be case sensitive. If you put a capital B on that, the baker with a capital B popped the pizza in the oven, then yes, it would link automatically to it, okay? Match whole words. By clicking on this box, it would require, or it would only match up whole words to be linked. So for instance, if your word was demonstration, and you check that box and someone typed the word demo, it wouldn't create an automatic link. You would have to type out the entire word demonstration. Okay, and then you would hit Save Changes. And you'll see as we drop in, again we're in the Browse by Alphabet look. So we have the word baker, there's the word. Here's the definition, and because the way I have it set up, okay, the way I have it set up that you don't see who the author or anything is, but you see when it was last entered or edited, and you see the date and time for that. Okay, keywords, again here's my list of keywords so that if you were to go up and search you'll see our search brought us right back to this definition, and it highlights where the keyword appears in the definition, which is kind of nice. You'll also see if you look over to the right that because we attached a document, there's where it appears, and because of the setting we chose, the document appears as a link. You'll also see here that because I created this entry, I can delete it, or I could edit it to change it. To give you kind of some other ideas, you know, again, look, if we did browse by date, you would now see, okay, here's an entry. You get the same view of the entry, and because it's the only one, you know, we did last update, or if we did even by creation date, you see how the entry still appears. Browse by author. Well, by doing that, if you scroll down, you see you get a little bit more of a picture. Again, it's going by first name, so there's my first name, there's my profile pic, and then it's giving you the word and definition I gave, another way to track what students have done. Okay, now if we click on Browse by Category, you'll see here that there's nothing. There aren't any entries. Okay, and if we scroll over to the right, all categories, if you drop this down, there are, at this point, you have all categories or not categorized. So if I were to click on not categorized, you would see our word appear, okay, because it's not in a category, right? If you've created categories, you would, you know, then be able to place words into particular categories. We can create a category by simply clicking on Edit Categories. However, that's something that you would create or you would allow to happen in your settings, which again goes back to the first video. And we didn't set that for this, but it would be as simple as clicking on Edit Categories. You would then have the option to add a category. You'll see a little tab appear in the center of the screen. Okay, you would then give it a name. You could then either automatically link to the category, which means that anytime the name of the category appeared in the course, it would automatically link back to it. You could set that, and then you would be able to, once you created the category and the category appeared, you would be able to see it under the drop-down menu over here. It would appear over here, and you could then move items. When you're creating the item or the definition, you could then assign it to a category. Again, we didn't set this one up to have a category in that manner, but that's the gist of how it would happen. So that's kind of how you can create a word and create an entry within the glossary. So it's pretty, I think it can become pretty handy and pretty useful inside a course. So now what I want to do now is to kind of give you an idea of how the auto-linking looks and how it works. So if I'm going to go back out to the course interface. So I click on the course title in the upper left-hand corner. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert a label, just so you can see. And I'm just going to, in my label, put the word baker. Okay, notice I gave it a capital B. Okay, because remember we did case-sensitive linking. Now notice right away that all I did was create a label, and it's in the color blue. Okay, which means that it's linked. And if I were to click on it, here's our glossary that pops up. Here's our word baker, here's the definition, here's the file attached to it, and you see how now it threads terminology throughout the class together. A very useful and handy feature.